Rebel Force Radio presents
Experimental Unit Clone Force 99. The defective clones with desirable mutations. They call themselves the Bad Batch.
The Bad Batch.
This is the Bad Batch After Show.
Bad Batch After Show. Chut, everyone. Welcome back to the program. Great to be with you and talking about this episode. A lot of firsts in this episode, including the first multi-word episode title of the season, Battle Scars. And my hunch is that maybe somebody there thought that Battle Scars was perhaps one word. But I don't know. We'll find out. But I had my own title for this. I thought this could be called Wreckering. Like reckoning? Wreckering? Because we all knew this was going to happen. We all knew that everything was building up to this moment. And a lot happened. And it happened quickly. And we're going to break it all down for you here this week. Of course, I won't be doing it all alone. I'll be doing it with my good friend and yours from Chicago, Jimmy Mack.
Hey, Jason. Hey, Star Wars fans. Chut, y'all. Chut to everyone. Chut to you, Jason. Chut to Tyler Page, who's going to be screening our phone calls. And even chut to the guy who wrote me last week and said, stop saying chut, it's stupid. Chut, y'all. That's what we say here around Rebel Force.
Someone, wait. Someone wrote us and said, stop saying chut.
Yeah.
Doesn't he know that's just going to make us say it more often? I mean, come on.
Don't they know what they're doing? Don't they realize what they've unleashed now?
All right, roll out the T-shirts.
Chut. Do you have your Mandel mix or whatever? Mantel mix? I keep calling it Mandel.
I'm guessing that's the stuff that you get in the big tins around Christmas time.
Yes.
You know, so in my Mantel mix, I prefer chocolate, cinnamon, and then straight up butter.
Cinnamon? Never heard of cinnamon.
Cinnamon popcorn? Oh, yeah.
That sounds like a punishment.
Oh my God!
Instead
Well,
of a treat.
It depends on your view of cinnamon. Hey, Tyler Page,
you do
wave.
have a sweet tooth. You do have a sweet tooth. I've taken note of this over the years. I've seen many a time we eat a huge meal and then you order a piece of cake and it pass out right there in the restaurant.
True story. Actually, true story. Anyway, hey, Tyler, wave to the people. I know you're busy. Are you busy screening calls?
I was, yeah.
You were?
Caught me off guard.
Oh, all right. Well, anyway, it's always great to have you. Thanks for your help. Oh, there goes the YouTube notification. Let us know if you're a subscriber to the Rebel Force Radio YouTube channel, let us know if you're not getting those notifications because they should actually be kicking out about a half hour before we go live and then right when we go live. So this one seems to be delayed, but we'd love to know because we don't want those YouTube algorithms blocking us and blocking you from enjoying each other's company, right?
No, we can't have that. Can't have it blocking anything.
No.
Have it blocking our sinuses.
You know,
I have a high fiber diet, so I don't get blocked by algorithms. Are you kidding me?
Well, we certainly don't want you blocked from calling. So we're going to put the number up on the screen, 708-866-1737. Give us a call as we talk about Battle Scars. Jim, right when you think like, wow, we've got a string of episodes where not a lot happened, you get this one. And it seems like everything happens. As I said in the intro, we knew that this was coming, and I was complaining a little bit on the last episode because we didn't get confirmation of who the Martez sisters were talking to. Well, of course, now we know it was Rex. Rex was one of the speculating, or one of the names being speculated. And indeed, it is Rex. So what do you make of the connection between Rex and Martez sisters? Is the connection, is it Ahsoka?
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. Clearly, it has to be. That would be. How else would the Martez sisters be on Rex's radar?
I know, they're like superhuman. They're good at everything.
The Star Wars galaxy is a small place sometimes, but
right.
It's not that small. And obviously the connection comes through Ahsoka. I was surprised to see it was Rex. Have we ever seen Rex wearing a cloak before? I don't ever recall.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
yeah.
Well, that would be his peasant disguise.
Okay, yeah, the undercover Rex.
Yeah.
And
You hear that, Hasbro? All you need to do is re-release the same figure and give us a soft goods wrapping, and bam, all you get there, you got it, brand new figure.
undercover Rex. Ord Mantell Rex. And he can eat the Mantell mix on Ord Mantell.
I didn't put that together.
Yeah. They always call it Chicago mix when they mix the cheddar and the caramel popcorn. It's like you get this at a place downtown called Garrett's. People love it. They just get popcorn for days. So I was like, oh, I get it. Okay. Mantell mix, Chicago mix. Except in Chicago, we don't call it Chicago mix. It's just mix. So I'm surprised.
You call it just mix? Well, yeah, that would be redundant. Why
mix.
would you call it Chicago mix?
Yeah, give me a large mix.
Right.
But,
like in Philadelphia, do you call it a Philly cheesesteak or you just call it a cheesesteak?
No, I think they just call it a cheesesteak.
Yeah. Hey, you know what we didn't do? I'm sorry. We didn't do the tail of the tape. We are talking about Bad Batch Season 1, Episode 7. And that puts us close to the middle of this season. I think we're looking at 16 episodes. Is that it? I think that was what we'd heard. Yeah. Original air date, June 11th, 2021. Runtime, a couple minutes longer than the last couple episodes, 27 minutes. Directed by Saul Ruiz and written by Jennifer Corbett, following up the last episode, Decommissioned. So one thing that I really have to say off the bat that I'm enjoying about this series is just how linear the storytelling is. You go from one episode to the next, and it's not that they do it in such a way where it's not like you'd be completely lost if you hadn't watched the previous episode, but there's enough continuity. You know, for example, Sid. I thought Sid was going to be a one and done. Now it turns out, Sid is sort of their boss. The relationship between the characters too, you're able to build that. I thought there were a lot of really sweet moments between Wrecker, Wrecker and Omega in particular. You could picture a guy like Wrecker who's maybe a little more simple, having a good relationship with a younger kid. So that seems very, very believable to me. But yes, I think it almost felt like a mistake in a way that Rex wasn't revealed in that last episode. I think that would have been a more interesting cliffhanger than the way Rex was introduced with this one. I mean, I thought it was cool. I like the, sort of the outlaw looking character with the hood up and all of that. But I don't know. I keep going back thinking that the last episode felt incomplete without making that connection. But I mean, we had all kinds of different people we were speculating it could be. We weren't sure if the Martez sisters had maybe fallen into perhaps working for the Empire or a bounty hunter or something like that. But nope, definitely Rex. I also like the line that Omega could tell that he was a Gen 1 clone. And I don't know that we've heard that terminology in Clone Wars or in Bad Batch before. Gen 1 versus Gen 2.
Don't they primarily reserve that kind of terminology for video game platforms?
Gen 1, yeah, right?
Yeah. She looks at him and she's seeing like the original PlayStation. And which looks much different than a PlayStation of today.
Katie on the chat says, "Get over it. Rex's intro was perfect." Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm with her. I don't understand what the hang up is with the Rex intro. I'm a little fuzzy on your
I think thoughts. I'm just saying that it felt the last episode felt really incomplete because there were no clues. There were no clues. At least give us a clue. We spent all that time with the Martez sisters, and in the episode that they're in, you don't get any resolution to why it was them. It felt very random. Now it's not as random, but just it's a small point. It's one guy's opinion, all right? Just one guy's opinion.
I thought it was cool. And also it kind of reminded me of how Aragorn is introduced in The Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
When he's sitting in the bar and he's got the hood up. And
smoking the pipe.
somebody's hassling him. I think, that's how it works. Somebody does hassle him. And then Hammerhead. Hammerhead is this emerging character now in the Bad Batch. I like to see that. Kenner Hammerhead.
Kenner Colors. That was very cool. Love that. I also love that he was playing Dejeric, and they were using the original sound effects from A New Hope. That was cool.
He's a recurring character. His name is Catcher Bolo. I don't know. There's the two of them, and I don't know which is which. But Catcher Bolo.
And I'm guessing that apparatus that he's wearing around his neck is the translator, so that he can speak basic when he's I got to tell you about those hammerheads. They're always talking out of the sides of their mouths. Always talking. Something that was kind of interesting to me is that they all felt pretty darn confident and secure that the inhibitor chip was not going to work on them. Rex says it's too dangerous. You got to take it out, and Tech was like, no, we know it doesn't have any effect on us. Oh, except for, and then you got Wrecker over there going, oh, like these guys really need to, read between the lines here. All signs point to.
Almost as if on cue. Oh, oh, yeah, no, these chips, they have no effect on us.
Right. Now, I don't recall, did Crosshair, was he complaining of it? No, he went down right away, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Crosshair.
Well, he saw the Jedi and immediately wanted to kill the Jedi.
Right.
He responded to Order 66.
Now, we speculated, if you remember, Jim, like what would happen when it kicked in if there were no Jedi around? It's like the tree falling in the forest. Do you hear it? If no one, if no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound? If there are no Jedi around, does Order 66 have an impact? Clearly, we now know it does because they're traitors. They're traitors to the Empire. So you don't really need a Jedi around in this case.
No, clearly not. I really thought that Wrecker would get triggered by the return of Caleb Doom. I figured they'd cross paths with him again, and that's when the chip would really pose a threat. But it's more interesting to see Wrecker turn on his fellow troopers and Omega for that matter, because obviously we have more of an emotional tie to this group together, and the last thing we want to see is for them to splinter. And it seems like the real heart of the team is Wrecker. He's like the heart of the team.
Yeah,
and he's the one that has really pushed to make it a family atmosphere for the kid, and he created a room for her and everything. And then the next thing he's hunting her down in this starship wreckage. So it's pretty terrifying stuff, like psychologically for Omega especially.
Right. And it doesn't seem like there's any trauma, at the end of the episode, which I thought was also interesting, was the fact that he has memory of what he was doing when the inhibitor chip was influencing his actions. So he goes up to apologize, and she's really great. But I thought that they might have like a little bit of trepidation, her that the last memory she has of him is him hunting her down and all of that. But I don't think they want to get bogged down in that stuff. Might be a little.
No. And how introspective is Wrecker going to be anyway? He's not exactly a deep thoughts kind of guy.
No.
So I don't see him carrying around the baggage from this. The guy is a born and bred warrior, and I don't think he gets tripped up by emotional stuff very often,
Yeah.
unless he can rage. And it's a lot, then he has fun.
I am hearing in the chat that people are having a little hard time hearing Jimmy Mac. I've boosted you up as much as I can. You want to give yourself a little more?
I'm going to give myself more gain
All
here,
right.
guys. Does that make a difference?
All right, we'll see.
Does that make any difference, guys?
They will.
I've noticed. Oh gosh, I just blew out my eardrums. I turned it up too loud. I have noticed. Yes, there is a little problem with my volume on some of these videos. So I have it wide open right now.
All right, and I've boosted you up here on my side as well.
All right, it says better. Sounds good now. Audio just fine. All right, well, I guess I'll have to remember for these live shows just to give myself a little extra. I'll go to turn it up to 11, man.
Boost it.
Yeah.
Braco was cool.
Stop yelling, he says. Come on, you guys. You quit busting balls.
Braco was cool. The Starship Graveyard, that had a lot of eye candy on it. And I thought it was a pretty cool option for them. It's almost like getting a back alley operation, but instead they were going to this deserted Jedi Star Cruiser and finding the medical bay. Thank goodness it still worked, that all that equipment in the medical bay worked, because that ship was looking rough. The medical bay miraculously untouched, but no, we're not going to nitpick that much.
It's really become a thing in the Disney era to venture around in these giant crashed starship wreckage, going back to the Force Awakens. Of course, this planet is represented in the very first level of Jedi Fallen Order. Cal Kestis, his adventure begins on this planet.
That's
Raka?
why it looked familiar to me. Yes, because I've watched a lot of the cutscenes on that game. I haven't played the game myself, but
yeah. Braca. And that's like he's working there at the beginning of
with his buddy,
thing,
and his buddy is
Walrus Man. He has like a
that's
Walrus
right.
Man buddy.
Yeah.
I think it's a Walrus Man. I can't remember.
something like that. One of those classic Star Wars aliens. But this episode kind of had two monsters. I mean, just to keep in tone with previous episodes, there was sort of a monster of the week appearance by a Dianoga, which was pretty cool.
Dianoga.
I thought that I missed the eyeball. Was there an eyeball moment?
Oh, good question.
I don't think there was.
I don't recall the eyeball. No, I just recall the tentacles and the shadow underwater, and of course the mouth.
Yeah,
that they show briefly. Trying to eat Rekka. That was pretty, comedic. We again see his fear of heights coming into play as he has to inch across that rope that they had crossing the chasm, and pretty funny stuff when he when he does fall. He gets caught. It's slapsticky and stuff, but like Wrecker is fodder for that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Peter in the chat says no eyeball. Thanks for looking
I was looking around,
Peter.
and I noticed that when I'm watching The Bad Batch during the day, and I've got daylight on my TV, that a lot of the detail I miss in the darker scenes. So it's just something that I just want to make sure I didn't miss it, because the telltale sign of the Dianoga is that eyeball popping up.
The classic.
Yeah.
The classic.
Yeah. So, but yeah, right. We did see the mouth, which the mouth is kind of Sarlacc-y. It's got
Mitch in the chat says, I thought it was a Rathar. That thought did cross my mind.
Ah.
And they're obviously cut from the same cloth. Things like Dianogas, Sarlaccs, and Rathars. I believe they're all kind of from the same, I don't know, species or what have you.
You biologists out there, you tell us. Kingdom, phylum, I don't know. So
Yeah,
that's all I
that's
remember.
What I say. Phylum.
I would, you could have knocked me over with a feather if Jimmy Mac would have said, they look to me like they might be all from the same phylum.
The phylum, yes.
I believe so. How are we going to classify this, Professor Swank?
A couple other points here as we set the table for your phone calls. Once again, 708-866-1737. Rex is still referring to those that we will come to see or come to understand as rebels, as defenders of the Republic, which I thought was kind of an interesting point. He says there are others loyal to the Republic out there, assuming that Ahsoka's one of them, and that perhaps Ahsoka, Rex, and the Martez sisters may be a rebellion cell at this point.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Maybe they'll eventually fall in line with Saw Gerrera's camp. And we'll really see the first militia uprising. Because, of course, they have the architects of the rebellion in the episode 3 outtakes, featuring the meetings with Palpatine and Bail Organa and things. I brought this up last week. But that's the political rebellion. What we need to see is, the birth of the military rebellion, the militias, what would be terrorist cells throughout the galaxy, all coming together. Of course, Saw Gerrera and his people represent that. And then that would be interesting if the Martez sisters, with Ahsoka and all of them, they all kind of come together. That would be really cool.
I was just watching Rogue One the other day and put it on just to have some background on the porch. And I just, the more I watch that film, the more I want to watch it again and again and again. And so much of it is about that. That period of time in the rebellion. Well, it's a similar period of time, but as what we're familiar with episode 1, but it's just a deeper look into the mechanics of the rebellion and just that uncomfortableness that they have with Saw and what he's doing there.
Yeah.
It's all very, very interesting, and I'm really hoping that the Cassian Andor series expands on that.
Oh, it will.
Yeah.
From all indications, it seems like the Andor series is really very much in the Rogue One vein. For obvious reasons.
Sure.
But hearing rumors that Forrest Whitaker is going to be part of the cast, hearing rumors that Ben Mendelsohn is going to be part of the cast, and of course, it's been not really confirmed, but K2SO will be showing up maybe in the second season or sometime.
Oh, they might make us wait for K2.
Yeah. He's
Really?
not going to be part of it. I don't think he's going to be part of the first season at all.
Really? Because he was one of the first 2 names that was confirmed in the casting. Was Alan Tudyk and Alan Tudyk and
Diego
Cassian.
Luna.
Thank you, Diego Luna.
Diego Luna. Andor. Cassian Andor. That's going to be an interesting show. And I think that's the sleeper. That's the sleeper of all the upcoming series. A lot of people are talking Ahsoka. A lot of people are talking Book of Boba Fett. A lot of people are talking about Kenobi. But Andor, that's the one.
Keep your eyes on
That's the one
that.
I think that's going to make everyone go wild.
Yeah.
That's good Imperial stuff. And speaking of Imperial stuff, this episode ends with a tease that we're going to be returning now to what I think a lot of fans have been wanting to get back to, is watching the development of Imperial oppression throughout the galaxy and having the Bad Batch interact with the Imperials. That's really interesting because then that's, Clone Trooper versus Stormtrooper. And that's an interesting thing I'd like to see.
Yeah, I was really relieved because I kept waiting for this Scrappers Guild to show back up. They introduced them, and we know that they were trying to avoid them. And when they do show up, they're like, notify the Empire. We've identified this group. So clearly now they've got a lead on where the Bad Batch are. So I don't know. Will the next episode pick up with the Empire in hot pursuit of the Bad Batch? Quite possibly.
Well, that's the way the dominoes fall with this series. They don't leave us hanging very long.
Right.
Now, while it did take a while for the Wrecker headache thing to develop and finally pay off, 4 episodes, whatever. But that was just kind of something that was like an undercurrent for the last few episodes. While the Bad Batch go out, they go on these missions for Sid. They keep themselves on the down low, taking on these mercenary gigs. And now they're going to be thrust back into the big picture. And I think, yes, starting next week, we're going to see immediate Imperial involvement in the Bad Batch and what they're doing. And I wonder if we're going to see any aesthetic changes to the clone troopers who are working for the Empire. Will we see stormtroopers? Or will they still be the Phase 3 clones that we know from Revenge of the Sith?
Yeah.
And I'd love to see TIE fighters and stormtroopers show up and show that, there's been a change.
Yeah.
While the Bad Batch have been hiding out off the grid, the Empire has been solidifying its grasp. It's been changing. And I want the changes to be visual when they return, when the Empire makes its presence known again in this series. So I think, we're going to start second half. We're going to start rolling into the second half of the season now. And I think the stakes will really get high.
All right. Well, let's kick up the stakes here on the after show and turn the show over to you, our callers. Starting off with Jilly from Michigan. Jilly, you're on with Rebel Force Radio. Hello, hello. Please turn down your radio.
Hello, Chut.
Chut. What's going on?
Not a whole lot. How are you guys?
Doing really well on this beautiful Saturday.
Yeah, it's great. Hey, first-time caller. Love your show.
Thank you.
I've been listening for a couple of years now. It's awesome. I had a couple quick questions. One I just thought was interesting about all these guilds that keep showing up in Star Wars. Ever since Mandalorian, there's like the Bounty Hunter Guild, and now there's the Mining Guild, and now the Scrapper Guild. Like, where did these all come from? It just seems like out of nowhere. There's a guild for everything now.
Well, look, I was wondering that too. But what I look at it is it's kind of like maybe we would use a term union. There's a union for every trade and every sub-trade of a trade. So I don't think that that's, out of the, I don't think that that's offsides to think that these people organize themselves by trade.
No, it's been established, going back to the prequels. You had the Trade Federation, you had the Banking Clan, you had the Techno Guild, you had all of these little businesses that were kind of part of the political landscape, which is like not really that different from what goes on in the political landscape nowadays with involvement by, corporations and lobbyists and all that stuff. It's the same thing. It's the same exact thing. And I think the Empire allows that stuff to breed and fester so they can help maintain law and order in their little sectors of the galaxy, and the Empire doesn't have to extend itself so much. Leave it to local law enforcement, things like that.
Exactly. I feel like the guilds tend to be all more loyal to the Empire right off the bat, but it's probably just political, and they just don't want to have the Empire come after them.
Yes.
Probably.
Yeah, well, they're doing this for brownie points and for protection, basically. Yeah.
That's right. That's exactly right. In a similar way that, I think the Banking Clan and the Trade Federation and they were reading the tea leaves, and they saw, first of all, they saw opportunity money-wise, and then I think they also saw the way the galaxy was turning. There was a growing mistrust of, how bloated the Galactic Republic had become, and so they were hedging their bets. So, yeah, I think that's very plausible. Now, did you also, I've got a note here that you want to talk a little Darth Maul? Darth Maul showing up in the Bad Batch?
I still believe he's going to appear somewhere. I didn't think he was working with the Martez sisters. I thought that was Rex. I agree with you, though, Jason, that I thought that reveal on Rex was a little bit wasted. Like, I don't know why they had the cliffhanger and then literally within you see Rex again in the next episode. I thought it would have been cool to see Rex at the end of the last episode, but I don't, because it made speculation for no reason. Whatever, it's a show.
Yeah. Now it's just two guys with an opinion. No big deal.
There you go.
You guys are no fun.
No one,
I mean,
no one threatened.
That's no fun, though. Part of this experience is having fun with it. And literally every Star Wars fan I talked to last week was, so who do you think was in the hologram? Who was that hologram?
Exactly.
I mean,
exciting.
that's fun. That's good. That's good for our fan base. That helps us bond and talk, and that's fun. I love the speculation stuff. But I mean, I wouldn't want. This is not anything I would have wanted to be left hanging for the rest of the season. I'm glad they resolved it right away. Yeah.
Yeah. And the mention of the Martez sisters and the connection to Rex was just like blink and you miss it. I mean, they get brought up like once and it was gone. So
that's enough Martez sisters for me for an episode. Quite honestly, I'm not gonna lie.
I think you're alone, but but I was saying is I think this is my opinion. I think Darth Maul may have hired Fennec Shand. He would want to maybe take Omega to get an upper hand on the Empire because Darth Maul is really ticked at old Palps there. But I don't know. It's hard to place in the timeline where he's gonna end up because I know in Rebels he's only in there for a short amount of time, but he's still I would imagine fairly active right now in the crime syndicate. So I think it could have been him hiring Fennec, an outside party, just to try to get an upper hand on the Empire. But that's what I think. But who knows?
Who knows?
That's a good guess.
Yeah, I like that. Yep. Thanks very much, Jilly. Appreciate it. Thanks for the call. And let's hear from Connor. Connor calling us from Baltimore. Hello, Connor. You're on with Rebel Force Radio, and welcome to the Bad Batch After Show.
Chut, gentlemen. How you doing?
Chut.
Quickly, before I ask my question, I just want to say I've been listening since 2017, going into my freshman year of high school and just graduated. So thank you for the endless entertainment over the week.
Congrats.
Yeah,
good for you, man. Congrats. My son also graduated high school a few weeks ago, so we're celebrating for him and you.
Thank you very much. So my question is, when we see the effectiveness of the inhibitor chips with Order 66 effectively wiping out the Jedi, and then Wrecker just cleaning house on the rest of the Bad Batch, kind of Hulk-esque in the Avengers when the big guy gets mad. Why would you ever switch from using the inhibitor chips when you can control everybody? I mean, you see Finn just desert and not decide that it's wrong and not follow orders. When you've got a way to control people, I mean, why not use it?
Well, that's a good question. And I think that's going to be explored a little bit. I think they started to explore it a little bit in the early part of the season.
Very much so. That's what created the schism between Tarkin and that other guy.
Rampart. And so they're already trying to make an argument for that, for why they would prefer to have enlisted men as opposed to clones serving their army. And I think it has to do with promoting loyalty to the Empire throughout the galaxy, and the best way to do it is by using their military, because the clones, they're just blindly loyal. They're not even considered really people by some within the galaxy and the Empire. I'm sure like Tarkin considers them to be totally expandable. You have Nala Se, who considers them to be merely just property. And
and there's also, which was revealed in a recent episode, the concern that perhaps their fighting style and their strategy is now too well known, and it's too available in these millions of decommissioned battle droids that are out there. That I think they're feeling somewhat threatened by that as well.
Right. We saw that being explored last episode with the tactical droid head and all of that activity surrounding that. So obviously, that is information that's sought after and an Achilles heel for the clones, really. And so there we know we have a weakness that these Imperial bureaucrats are going to exploit because it costs money for them also to purchase these clones.
Right.
So on top of having to house them and feed them and give them money to survive and whatever, you also have to purchase them. So they want to cut costs.
With the money argument.
What was that?
With the money point and having to purchase them from the Kaminoans is definitely a good point, but I would say that the Empire is definitely not above torturing the Kaminoans, finding out their processes, and then maybe just disposing of them.
Oh, I think that we're probably going to see, I would guess that we're going to see some recompense for this. I think that in the same way that we saw the Geonosians dispatched once that the Empire got what they wanted out of them. So I think we're going to see that. I don't know if it's going to be the same, type of maneuver, but I think we'll see some sort of showdown.
Yeah, cool. The War of Camino, it's going to happen. It has to happen. I think it did happen in one of the old Dark Horse comic books, but maybe we'll see it for real this time on the Bad Batch.
Connor, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate the call. Glad you found us. Congratulations on graduating, and hopefully you'll take us to college with you. That would be fun. I'd like to go back to college. Swank and Mac on campus. Hey, let's talk to a Patreon member and a good friend of ours, Mr. Rich Brendel, calling from Wisconsin. You still with us, Rich?
I still am. Chut and a choo-choo to you guys. How you doing?
Chut and a choo-choo to you as well. That's going to have to be another T-shirt. Just Rich.
Yes. That would be amazing.
That's just Rich.
So what's on your mind with this episode, Rich?
Yeah, so I was actually thinking about this while listening to the last live show, and we saw it again. Like, it's funny how Wrecker is. I mean, we've been doing the A-Team references to this whole to Bad Batch, but I was thinking, Wrecker, he's afraid of heights. Mr. T in the A-Team, he was the one that was afraid of flying. They always had to knock him out.
That's right.
Up in an airplane or something.
That's right. That's a fun connection. I hadn't thought of that. That's right.
Yeah, so I just thought that I love I grew up with the A-Team. I love it, and so it's fun to see Wrecker's the brute too, and so is Mr. T.
Yeah.
But I don't know if any of the other characters would relate as much to characters of the A-Team. I mean, Wrecker's kind of a cross between Murdoch and BA,
Yeah. He's kind of the crazy one and the in the brute force. But no, I like the analogy. I tried at one point because we were a lot of speculation going into the Bad Batch series was that this A-Team connection, and I tried mapping the characters and. I don't think it's quite there, but certainly the formula of 80s, some of those 80s TV shows where you have whether it be the Incredible Hulk or A-Team or gosh even Highway to Heaven, and things where the characters descend on a town or and are helping people out, and then they move on. This hasn't panned out to be that way. I don't feel that this show has done it. I wasn't expecting these guys to be on the more criminal side of being mercenaries, where they are. I mean, they're working with Sid, they're stealing things. Anyone know what that lizard thing was that they stole that was doing the face hugging on Wrecker? I don't know.
Ruby.
Well, it was Ruby.
It's a lizard.
Yeah.
That's all we need to know. It's either a pet or a meal. We don't know. We don't care. As long as we get paid.
Right. Well, you also hear you also hear Hunter at the beginning questioning Sid, like, well, you know, what are you going to do with this thing? Why does your buyer want it? Like, Hunter is still, I think, a little. He's struggling a little bit. He wants the full context. He wants to know the bigger picture. And, you know, Sid is sort of like, what's it matter to you, right? Just
It's similar to the Mandalorian, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He
I was
went
just
through
thinking
these,
that too, but-
the moral challenges of doing a job and then just walking away from it. And Mandalorian struggled with that and ended up with sweet Baby Yoda. There he is, folks.
Yeah, and Mando,
checking in.
Like, I don't know what.
Look at that. That's a lot of Baby Yoda. Well, we haven't seen him in a while, so.
And checking out.
All right, Rich. Anything else you wanna mention?
Oh, well, that was pretty much it today. I just wanted to, thank you guys for doing an awesome job with this. It's fun.
Thanks, man.
It's a good way to spend your Saturday here, so that's cool. I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. I think, next week we'll be also doing this on a Saturday as we look at our schedules. So it's either going to be Friday nights or Saturdays, and we know that our friends over in the UK like this Saturday morning time slot because it's like Saturday prime time for them, or just before prime time. I wanted to make a note about that in the beginning, is that Hunter, and I hope it's something that they expound upon a little bit, that, you know, Hunter's comfort level or lack thereof with some of these jobs. And also, Sid's keeping a tab on ththese guys, literally a tab, every expense, everything. And so it's cutting into their profits. And, you know, I just when I think that she's a character that is really looking out for the best interests and might have that heart of gold, I'm not quite so sure. Mm-hmm. If somebody gives her a better offer to give them up, I think she would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and I think we'll see her getting tested. Because if the Scrappers are calling the Empire, then the Empire will be tracking them. And I'm sure it'll lead them right to Ord Mantell. And Sid, there'll be a shakedown, and Sid will show her true colors.
Yeah.
And they won't be loyal. I'll tell you that. She won't have loyal colors flying. It'll be, she just, what can you do for me? And that's about it with Sid. She's really one-dimensional.
Well, Cameron on the chat says, he goes, I don't think Sid's going to be around too long after the Empire shows up, so she may end up being somewhat disposable. And that could be a way that the show builds a little of, you know.
The Bad Batch come back, and her skeleton is laying outside of the bar smoldering.
Yeah, I just want to see some steam. I want to see some steam coming off. Hey, we got a first-time caller from Canada. Got Justin on the line. Hello, Justin.
Good day.
Hello, Chut, guys.
Chut. Nice to hear from you.
Yeah, it's great to call in. Thanks for taking my call.
Of course. So what do you got for us?
So I think there's, not a plot hole, but a little bit of inconsistency with the tactical droid head and the data.
Okay.
So they get the copy of the data onto a data stick from the tactical droid head, right? Like Tech makes it under fire.
Right.
Then they give it to the Martez sisters.
Yep.
That makes sense. But I thought that they would make another copy for themselves to give to Sid, because that makes sense, right? But they didn't. Why would they not do that? Because Sid says, they bungled the op. That was your chance to make things square. So, why do you think they didn't just make their own copy? Because if they're able to transfer all the data onto a stick under fire, I don't understand why they couldn't make another copy afterwards.
Well, do we know that they didn't, or did they just not give it up to Sid?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true.
I bet they have that information. You make one copy, you make two copies.
I think Hunter's nervous about Sid, as he should be, because it's, quite sketchy. But he wants to be even. I don't understand why they wouldn't just give up the data, because they're still, doing other jobs for her.
Well, I think that the point of that, Justin, was to show that they were sacrificing for the greater good. They recognized that the Martez sisters were connected to something that was better than whatever Sid was connected to. So that's what I'm thinking. Because if they would have just split the data or copied the data, gave one to the Martez sisters and then one to Sid, Lord knows what's on the other end of the Sid's deal. So therefore, they really wouldn't be giving the rebels the upper hand. So that's my thought on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's true. It's character progression. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And
I was just thinking, they're trying to get even as fast as possible. That would make sense, but
right.
Makes more sense.
And sacrifice. We've got to see these guys sacrificing something for I think for the greater good, and they're sacrificing their comfort level, their financial means, and all of that. I got a note here that you also had some thoughts about Wolf or Gregor.
Yes. So I thought the person in the cloak transmission was going to be Gregor, because I was thinking about the tactical droid head, and in Rebels, Kanan and Ezra and them find Rex and Gregor and Wolf with the tactical droid head. Excuse me, with the tactical droid head. So I was thinking that a clone would be trying to find one, or the data to find other clones. And so I was wondering, because I think Gregor, there's a gap, right? Because unless I'm getting this mixed up, he was on that planet in the middle of nowhere in Clone Wars, and then he appears all those years later as an old man. What happened in between? How did he meet up with Rex? And then Wolf's involved too. But I was wondering, do you guys think we're going to see Gregor or Wolf?
I would love to see Gregor, because you're right. There is a big gaping hole there in his story. He was thought long dead in that explosion in the episode that it was in season 5, with Gascon and the D Squad. It was called, I think, Missing in Action was the name of the title. And he gets blown to bits, they think. And he just shows up in Rebels, and he's like a middle-aged dude who just came back from a fishing trip. So I need to know how he survived. Has that story been told? Does anybody in the chat know that? I think that is a gaping hole with Gregor's story.
Yeah, and I want to know too, because Rex is also on that big retirement cruiser fishing in the desert, isn't he?
Yeah, he's there with with Wolf.
So we see. So the assumption, at least, had I not seen that, I would have assumed that Rex, who seems to be a pioneer in the rebellion, and then he gets sucked back in. We see him in Rebels. So what's going to happen to where Rex just decides to give it up and retire, essentially? And maybe retirement's not the right way to look at those guys. Maybe it's just they're in exile, they're hiding out. And perhaps what we'll see is as more clones are known to have resisted Order 66, they may become just as hunted as the Jedi. That's something we might see. So the heat could turn way up, and real hard to disguise yourself to a degree when you're a clone. You kind of stick out. Everybody knows that face. We've seen enough comments. I've seen that face 1,000 times. Heard that voice 1,000 times. So,
what wasn't explained was earlier in the season, Cutlerquaine, he was paid a visit by Rex a day before the Bad Batch arrived. And as far as we know, Cutlerquaine still has that inhibitor chip in his head. So I thought Rex paying Cut a visit was to help him deactivate the chip. I thought maybe Rex had a little handheld device that would like fry out the chip.
Yeah, like the
But
Men in
no.
Black pen, you know, that they hold up. And
Yeah, but he had no process for doing anything like that with Wrecker. They had to go find Imperial hardware, or not Imperial hardware, but I guess that would be Republic hardware.
Republic, hardware. Yeah, and I mean, in Rex, you know, he admits, I've never been on this end of this procedure before. So that's something else that, you know, he, you know, it's a good thing Tech was there to run that equipment, because I don't think Rex could have done it. And I wouldn't assume that procedure is real simple to perform. I would assume that the Kaminoans would have had that somewhat protected, but who knows? Hey, maybe it was a purposeful flaw, just like, you know, Galen Erso set up with the Death Star. You know, maybe we'll see that there's a pattern of some covert things going on. I think
Fail-safe mechanism.
Yeah, you got to have these little insurance policies. Oh well, we got to talk to Lucky from Australia. It's 3 a.m. You doing up, Lucky?
I have a 5-year-old, not a 5-year-old, a 5-month-old baby. And
yeah, say no more. Say no more.
I thought it was a perfect time to actually come on and watch the live stream for the first time.
Oh well, we're glad you're here, and congratulations on the new baby. 5 months is still new.
Why, thank you very much. She's my own little baby Yoda.
I just hope she's not green, because if she's green, you're doing something wrong.
I think that's why she's still awake tonight.
So, are you watching? Are you guys
sniffles going around?
Are you all getting in Australia a Bad Batch at the same time we are in the States? Are they dropping worldwide? Seem to be dropping worldwide, same time.
It's dropping at probably around 6 p.m. Fridays, so it's perfect. You know, you finish the working week and you come home and watch Bad Batch.
That's great. And what are you thinking of the show so far?
I love it. Like I was late to the party with Clone Wars. I watched the first 2 seasons when it first came out, and then I started moving around a lot, so I lost track of time. And then I met a good mate where I live up in my area, and you know, Star Wars brought us together, and he was like, "Dude, you have to watch Clone Wars. Get onto these episodes, rah rah rah." And then now I'm just hooked back into it, and like especially this episode, like it's like the Bad Batch is just so well animated. Like there's so many shots that look like it's better animated than stuff from the prequels.
Well, you know, you bring up an interesting point in that this is sort of a do-over for a lot of folks that kind of skipped over the Clone Wars. This is, you know, they're like, I don't know about this Star Wars animation, Star Wars cartoon, and now, you know, you kind of get a second crack at this and enjoying it in real time with the rest of us. So that's good. That's real good.
Yeah, I completely agree. And what I think, especially this episode, I loved how Rex was telling them to remove their chips because he I can't remember what he exactly said, but he's like, you have to get them out. I've seen what happens. And it calls back to that last couple of episodes when all the clones turned on him. He's like, I've lost too many brothers. I was just like, oh God, I'm going to cry.
Yeah. Well, I like you know, he says that he was unsuccessful. You know, even he was unable to withstand it. But he does, you know, it's such an intense moment when he's holding his blaster at Ahsoka and his hands shaking, and it's so well done. So well done. And
oh yeah, it's some of the best Star Wars I've ever seen.
Yeah, I was, you know, I got to say, in general, I was always, you know, back as the prequels were wrapping up and there was talk about, you know, George's live action series, and he'd always downplay the importance of the main characters, and even when Clone Wars was being rumored, we thought that it was just going to be about the clones, and you'd have cameos maybe potentially of some of the core characters, and I was always I poo-pooed it a lot. I was always very critical of it and said, well, that's not going to be Star Wars if it doesn't have these characters. And I got to say, I'm real happy to be wrong, because I'm able to enjoy, for the most part, Star Wars without, Han, Luke, Leia, Anakin, Obi-Wan, etc. I mean, it's always a thrill when they show up or they're being referred to, but it is a big universe. There's a lot of room for some great characters, as long as they're handled right.
As long as we're talking Clone Wars.
Well, that's correct.
Yeah. As long as we're talking Clone Wars, there are 5 episodes from season 6 I recommend everyone watch to help you become better informed about what's going on with Bad Batch. Just refreshed myself on these episodes. And they're definitely worth a rewatch. The first 4 episodes of season 6, featuring Cadet Tup and his chip malfunctions, and he has a premature Order 66. And that's really informative about these chips, these inhibitor chips, and everything
embarrassing
they do.
too. I mean, terribly embarrassing. But it happens.
This never happens. This never happens, he was saying. Never, ever does this happen. And then the 10th episode of season 6 is the Lost One. And that features a lot of information about Sifo Dyas. And
we actually see Sifo Dyas, right?
We see a hologram of him. So we get to see what he looks like. But there are a lot of answers. And in the next episode, voices. But really in that one, episode 10, a lot of Sifo Dyas stuff there. I forgot there was so much revealed about Sifo Dyas in season 6 of the Clone Wars. So that's a helpful refresher if you're looking for one, because it was really enlightening to watch that episode specifically. Episode 10, the Lost One. Plo Koon finds Sifo Dyas' lightsaber, and that triggers a whole investigation about, into his death and everything else. Good stuff.
And all available, obviously, on Disney Plus.
Right. So that's my pick to
streaming.
click. Yes.
Yeah, even that, and that was the Netflix season, right?
Yeah,
Season
that's
6.
why I think it was so important for me to refresh it, because I feel like when Netflix drops these whole seasons at once, we cram them. We don't spend time with the individual episodes to let them breathe. We're cramming them, and then we do roundtables about complete arcs, as opposed to episode by episode. And that means season 6 really didn't make an impact on me like it should have.
Yeah, good
because of the Netflix system of dropping full seasons, forcing you to binge. I like it like this. Get one episode a week, live with that episode, watch it multiple times, have roundtable discussions like this, after shows, and really get to know the episode instead of just like snorting it like it's a line of cocaine, which is what Netflix binging makes you do. Not that I know about anything about snorting cocaine. I swear to God, I don't. But that's what it seems like. It's like people are like junkies when these seasons get dropped.
Well, and then you also, if you don't have the time to sit and binge it all when the whole world is doing it, then you got to avoid being online forever because you're going to get spoiled. That happened with my family in the last season of Stranger Things. I was like, oh man, it was from the most unusual source too. I just happened on a YouTube video my kids were watching, and somebody made a reference, and I'm like, oh.
Right.
Anyway, hey, Lucky.
And they drop it. The last season of Stranger Things, they dropped it on a holiday weekend. It was like 4th of July weekend that summer. Nobody's sitting at home watching TV, but lots of people are sitting at home watching TV, and they binge those episodes. And
everyone's
the
like,
people who are actually out enjoying the summer weather and stuff, they just open up their iPhone and Stranger Things spoilers galore.
Right.
And it's like, wait, didn't the season just drop like 6 hours ago? How do these people watch it all?
Well, I like to watch it in 1.5 speed so that it can be.
But then what happens? What happens in Stranger Things comes and goes.
Yeah.
It's over just like that. This way, we get an episode a week. We spend the whole summer with the Bad Batch.
Right.
That's all. I like that.
That's true. Lucky, I apologize. You had a particular point you wanted to chat about, something about a wrecker and attacking the crew, and I just started chatting it up with you. So what did you want to say?
No, that's all right. I'm a bit of a horror fan, so when his chip activates and he starts hunting down the crew, I got a very alien vibe. I don't know if anybody else got that. It's
a little bit.
Just those, the dark corridors,
yes,
hiding behind. I can't remember the little girl's name from Aliens, the second movie, but she's always hiding in little crevices, and
Newt.
I got that, a very distinct vibe.
Yeah,
good call.
Yeah, I'm not steeped in alien lore, but certainly the horror analogy, and it was. I mean, it was really well done the way that they establish where their relationship is at the beginning, and they're splitting the popcorn, the Mantel mix or whatever, and they have this tradition they've been doing after these missions, and then to see it break down like that, it was very, very well done. Lucky, thank you so much, and good luck with the 5-month-old, and please, if you can, join us again on a Bad Batch after show. Would appreciate it very much. I got got a lot of first-time callers. That's great about these Saturday episodes. Here's McHenry, Illinois. Jim, I don't know if you know where McHenry is, but
yes,
got Brad.
It's the only local drive-in to the Chicago area right now. It's like an hour outside Chicago.
Well, that's where
right.
Brad is from. Hey, there he is. Chut,
Hey,
Brad.
Chut, guys. How are you?
All right.
Hey, I wanted to make a comment about the decision that the Bad Batch makes to not follow Rex at the end of the episode. Like, to me, that doesn't make a lot of sense considering they don't know what they're doing anymore. They're with Sid, who's been taking advantage of them. And Rex is the only friendly face they know and they trust,
I'm so glad you're bringing that up, because I had a note about that at the end of the episode, and that's when we were talking about how Rex says, look, there are others, loyal to the Republic, there's more of us out there, and Hunter says, well, I got to do what's best for Omega, I got to do what's best for my squad. So
right.
It's a great question. Why is their current situation best for them? It's a good question.
Right. Like, I know obviously there's more episodes and whatnot, but at this point in time for them, like, Omega, like, recognizes Rex as a Gen 1. So, like, there's the opportunity to, like, teach her, like, history and stuff. Like, wouldn't that be better for Omega? I don't know.
It could be. The other thing that
I'm like, what are you doing?
Right. And the other thought that I had was perhaps Hunter thinks that would be putting the Bad Batch in a little too high-profile situation. He wants to protect Omega. He wants to keep it all quiet and on the down low. So that's another thought.
I'll tell you, they're locked in to their situation on Ord Mantell because they have a debt to Sid. They owe Sid money. So if they split and leave her high and dry, she will reveal their presence and probably hire bounty hunters and to go after them. I mean, they have to think about self-preservation a little bit too.
I understand that, but they're already being chased by, a bounty hunter
but at least now, right? But at least now they have. Yeah, I think, they're just, I mean, I wouldn't want to necessarily, if I've got the Empire after me, I wouldn't want a slew of bounty hunters coming after me also. It's like clean up one mess at a time. Right. That's a good point, Jim. That's a real good point. And it also gives, the writers an opportunity to kind of string this out a little bit, because if they jump ship. I think it's inevitable. I think that's where they'll end up, or at least we'll see Rex pop in from time to time. But yeah, no, great point.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the call. We got some super chats. Let's talk. Oh, here's our buddy Peter, very generous. Peter Bessier, saying, gonna miss next week's live show. Wife filled up my calendar, but thanks again for doing these shows. Good excuse to have an adult beverage and stare at the computer. More importantly, to hang out with Star Wars fans. May the Force be with you, Peter. You're here all the time, so we will forgive your absence next time, but you'll be missed, man. You'll be missed. You always have great comments, very good comments.
Yeah, well, he's a day drinker, so that we know.
Man after my own heart. All right, we've got Nick. He says, you guys are up bright and early. Love the show. Well, I mean, I saw a text come through from Jimmy Mack last evening. I knew he was at a concert, and so I thought, man, is he going to be able to pull off a nooner here?
I'm here, baby.
There he was.
Yeah. This is my first live music experience of 2021. How I missed it, I can't tell you. But I'm here. Not, percentage-wise, probably not 100. But I am here. Crispy around the edges for sure. But I am here.
All right. Also, we've got Mr. Cardona saying Omega. I don't know if that's what are you trying to say that I should go back to saying Omega?
It's endearing.
Yeah.
He wants to hear that.
He likes it. All right, back to the calls we go. Chris from Oklahoma. Chris, you're on with Rebel Force Radio and the Bad Batch After Show. Hello. Let's try it again. Hello, Chris. Chris from Oklahoma. Hey. Yeah, hello, Chut.
Hey, guys. Sorry, it just beeped. I could hear you for a moment, but you couldn't hear me.
That's all right. You're on now. We can hear you. Great.
Yeah, we got to see some Dianoga action. Some Dianoga poo-poo. But I
think Chris is a day drinker, too.
That's actually, he's referencing a Mark Hamill line. Apparently, when Mark was shooting that sequence in the trash compactor, a piece of the Dianoga rubber puppet kind of came off, and Mark picked it up. He said, "Pardon me, George, is this some Dianoga poo-poo?" And, yeah. Pardon me, George.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, George is having panic attacks every day on set trying to get this movie done. He's in no humor for something like that.
Yeah.
Shut up, Hamill.
That's $20,000. Oh, God.
Everything's marked with little price tags.
And he's laughing about it. Oh, God. It's over.
Oh, man. It was cool to see the Dianoga. I would have liked to have seen the little eyeball, but whatever.
No eyeball.
No eyeball. That would have been because when Hunter says, I think it's Hunter that says stay above the water line, and they just show that sort of ominous, water ripple. I thought, are we going to see some Dianoga here? And yeah, it was cool. I want that eyeball that looks it looks like. When I was a kid, I always thought that it looked like sauerkraut.
Sauerkraut?
Why?
Because eyeball. Of the stuff that was hanging off of it?
Yeah. Like it was an eyeball that was covered in sauerkraut. I was a kid. What do you want? And so it stuck with me. Anybody else out there in the chat think that the Dianoga eyeball looks like sauerkraut? What else you got on your mind, Chris?
Sauerkraut.
Well, so first of all, I just want to say I really do enjoy the series, but I think there are just so many missed opportunities that they've had with the story. At least the animation has been great, as that one caller said, but there are just so many things that I see that I'm like, why aren't they doing this, or why are they doing this instead? Like having them search for other clones maybe with chip defects. And I'm just thinking of the things I was expecting to see, or you have the main fatherly clone, I forget his name. You have him becoming very fatherly to Omega, like maybe explore him finding a female companion or something, a love interest, which, Star Wars struggles with sometimes. But I think that would be super fascinating to see clones doing that sort of thing, because you never see clones outside of Cut, I think his name is, have a wife. And I think that would be really cool seeing them explore that. Or I don't like also, this episode really hit it home for me, that Omega, after being chased by Wrecker, isn't really bothered by it.
I mentioned that. Chris, I mentioned that, and I kind of agree. I thought that it would have been interesting if he would have had to, proven himself again. But at the same time, I think that there's something that we don't yet know about Omega and her ability to see through. Remember, she was very compassionate towards Crosshair. She said, I know what you're going to do, and you can't help it. So there's almost an empathic quality to her that wouldn't have lined up. But otherwise, if it had been a straight up normal kid, I would have said, no, she needs to have a little PTSD after this. And, she's not going to hop on, Wrecker's lap after he's just tried to kill her. So, no, I totally agree. Chris, thanks so much. Really appreciate the call. Great callers.
What I wanted to see from this episode that we didn't get, which I felt was unfortunate. Here we are reuniting with Rex post Order 66.
Mm-hmm.
And he really didn't have too much to say about Order 66 itself. He was just talking to the clones about the inhibitor chip and how it could damage their health.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't say, I was shocked when I saw our brothers turn against our Jedi general. He never said anything like that. And I would have loved to have heard his...
Well, it was all done off screen. When they're at the bar, and it's like, he's like, says something like, there's a lot to tell you. And then the next thing you know, he's like, and that's how it happened. You're right. It would have been nice to hear it from Rex's point of view,
Yeah, well, at least we would have been able to fill in the blanks there. Unlike The Force Awakens' famous Luke's lightsaber story for another time. How dare you? What do you think we are, a bunch of chumps? I expect a little more respect from our storytellers. We have a very fragile relationship with each other as media consumers. And they need to treat us a little bit with a little more respect. Don't tell us it's a story for another time and then never tell us the story. What the hell?
Right.
That's me getting bent out of shape for no particular reason.
All right, totally sauerkraut.
Dianoga. Okay, what we're going to be
showing
serving
it on the
up
screen.
at the next RFR live show. This is exclusive news I'm breaking for you guys. At the next, our live event with an audience and everything, we will be serving Dianoga dogs with sauerkraut.
I love it. Yes.
That is definitely on the menu for the next RFR live show with a live audience.
Right. And if you
Dianoga dogs.
And if you don't eat some Dianoga eyeball on New Year's Day, you're going to have bad luck the rest of the year.
We eat green grapes, you eat sauerkraut, whatever you do. Maybe we can have like a hot dog eating contest, a Dianoga dog eating contest.
Come on, Celebration's just looking for that kind of stuff. They got it.
Some tells me if that happened during one of our live shows, it would devolve into a food fight within seconds.
Animal House.
So, yes.
All right, let's go back here. We got John from California. John, you want to weigh in on the mystery hologram?
Hey, nice to be on.
Great to have you with us.
All right, so the first thing is I want to decide with you in regards to the hologram usage without us knowing the identity of who they're speaking to. It's one thing, with the Rex situation, but this has already happened in the season with the Fennec Shan situation. Who is she talking to? They can't pull the same thing twice. So I'm entirely on your side with this one.
I forgot they did leave us hanging on that one, too. Very, very true.
And
so who was Fennec Shan talking to? Rex.
Hopefully Boba Fett.
What a disappointment if it was Rex she was talking to. It's like, again? What's going
Everyone's got Rex's cell phone number. But yeah, they did leave that stone unturned, and they've left so much moss grow on it that some people might not even remember. I actually thought it was Fennec Shand, by the way. The mystery character again, because I wasn't bringing in this episode the Martez sisters and that communique. I thought it was going to be another Fennec Shand, who's Fennec Shand talking to, just a throwaway. So then when we see that someone's keeping an eye on them and, looking at Omega, looking at, that was just for you. Looking at the clones, the Bad Batch, I thought, oh, okay, so Fennec Shand is back. I would assume that she's still on the hunt, right? There's still the bounty out there. Yeah. So anyway, good point, John.
Yeah. And then I've been meaning to call in for a while about the clones post Order 66 and how they all got so squeaky white and clean. And I feel like they kind of prepped us for that with the last season of the Clone Wars, with how quickly the 501st just became the Ahsoka Battalion. I think they got just, some quick apply and quick erase paint. And really, that's all I have to offer.
Oh, well, and that's all I have to say about that. Thanks, John. That's great. Really good comments. Josh, thanks for the super chat saying, didn't Ahsoka appear briefly at the beginning of this episode before Rex was revealed? That's news to me.
Ahsoka? Ahsoka?
Yeah. Josh, you're going to have to follow up on this one. We're going to... We need to see what you saw.
Yeah.
Cam Katarn in the chat is saying, nope. I think that's... but still, thanks for the super chat. Anyway, appreciate that very much. Let's see. All right. We got time for one more. Let's go and talk to Josh. Yeah, let's talk to Josh. Josh from PA.
40,000 years of chutting. I mean, barely even tapped the vastness of chutting potential.
That's a lot of chutting. All right.
Did you get the reference?
No, but you gave me a chuckle.
Yeah, it's from the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie.
Oh, well, there you go. It didn't stick, Although I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, but I just want to say I watched the last episode of the Bad Batch, and it's called Battle Scars, I think, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a step up from the last episode. The last episode was kind of lackluster in my opinion, but I really enjoyed this episode for the most part. It was very it was nice seeing Rex back, and it was interesting seeing Wrecker go nuts. It was like one of the callers said it was kind of like Aliens. I actually thought it was very kind of David Lynchian.
Okay. All right. I'm not a David Lynch scholar, but I'm going to take your word for it.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I wanted to ask, where has Crosshair been? I want to speculate to where has. And I'm a Crosshair fan. I love Crosshair. He's my favorite of. Even though he's not technically part of the batch right now, like he's still my favorite character.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Creeps me out.
I like him because he kind of reminds me of like the strong silent type, like something that you would see in those old Clint Eastwood spaghetti westerns.
Oh yeah, yep. Chewing on the little Bandito cigar. I relate to that. Did you want to speculate as to where he's been?
Yeah. I don't know where he's been. I wasn't speculating. I just want to like in terms of like where he's been. Like, who knows? Like, is he behind closed doors with the Empire? Is he doing something with Fennec, or is he in conflict with Fennec or something, or like trying to get to Omega or something?
Oh.
Those are just a few theories of mine.
Those are good theories, Josh. Thanks very much for the call. something I wanted to mention earlier about Crosshair when we had the caller that was saying, well, what's the issue? Why would the Empire be looking at using conscripted forces versus these mind-controlled clones? And Tarkin clearly doesn't trust the inhibitor chip because they're having to crank Crosshairs up. He goes in for that tune-up once in a while. And so, it could be such a thing. And Tarkin was then testing him, tested him with the, here their Crosshair was on that little village, that settlement, that camp of civilians along with the conscripted troops. And the conscripted troops ended up being the ones to say, not killing families here. That's not what I'm here to do. And Crosshair had no problem with that. So it's definitely, I think, a topic that's going to continue to be brought up, is weighing these two. I would like to have seen more of that. We've been talking, Jim, that it's a big thing that's been missing from these last few episodes is, where are the bad guys? Where's the Empire?
Yeah, true. And I had this feeling that fans were getting a little frustrated with the fact that the Bad Batch set a premise at the beginning of the season, and then once they landed on Ord Mantell, they kind of fell into a routine of going on these missions for Sid, and the big picture story wasn't getting expanded upon. And I was like, if this week's episode is another mission for Sid, people are going to be really pissed off. They're going to be really pissed off. So I'm glad that this week we had some evolution with the story. We saw resolution of the Wrecker headache arc. And we have been informed that the Empire is going to be making its presence known very soon. And with it will come the return of Crosshair. Guaranteed. He will be the specialist in charge of leading troops to go hunt down the Bad Batch because he knows so much about them. He has inside intel, much like the tactical droids have intel on the clones. Crosshair has Bad Batch information up in his head. So that's going to be used and exploited.
Well,
until Crosshair gets healed. He gets brought back into the fold.
That's what I was going to ask you. So this episode, now we know, and here's how it's going to go down. I just have this feeling, because I don't see them breaking onto another Jedi cruiser to do the operation on Crosshair. So Tech's going to be like, well, I was able to. He's the one that's going to condense it down into some one little stick or something and do it very easily. That's my guess. But it was revealed in an episode that they sort of, it seemed as though they were dedicating themselves to the mission of bringing Crosshair back, retrieving him, and then that kind of got lost. So there is something to be said. Again, we're here to analyze this stuff that the Fennec Shand hologram. And hey, let's go get Crosshair. You're kind of dropping some of these things, and they're not. I don't want to call them plot holes because the series is still ongoing. But maybe they're letting a little bit too much moss grow on some of these elements.
I don't know. I think it'll all be resolved in this season. I don't think they're going to leave us hanging on anything, and I don't see them dropping things either. It's just the story has to build, and I'm telling you, second half of the season we'll see all of those story threads wrapped up and or expanded upon. And again, I believe these mission episodes where they're running errands for Sid are just episodes for us to just spend time with these characters, get to know them better, understand their chemistry with one another. So when things happen, like Wrecker's inhibitor chip fires off and he's hunting Omega, you really care because you're flashing back to earlier episodes and things that they've done together. Even flashback to the beginning of this episode. He's the big lovable uncle taking her out for popcorn.
Right.
Minutes later, he's hunting her down in Starship wreckage with a blaster. Yeah. And so we have to have just a little bit of time to develop closeness with the characters and let them become a tight-knit family. So when the stakes do get raised up, they mean so much more. If you just throw them into huge events left and right, the event becomes the star of the show. When in reality, the characters are supposed to be the star of the show. So we have to go along with the journey with them. That's how I look at Star Wars. It's more character focused. It's not always about the big picture. It's not always about galactic historical events that'll fill up a Wikipedia page. It's more about getting to know characters, and sometimes there's a lot more nuance when you go on those journeys. It becomes more personal.
For sure. All right, I lied. Let's do one more call because I just love it when something on one of the television series conflicts with one of the books. So that's what we got here. We got Darth Chaco.
Oh, Swank lives for moments like these.
Yes, we've got Darth Chaco.
His happiest.
He wants to weigh in on the Ahsoka novel and how it conflicts with Bad Batch. What's going on, man?
Yeah. Hey, how are you guys doing?
Oh, great. I'm so glad you called.
Yeah, but listened to you guys for years. But
thank you.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting. At the end of the episode, Rex is talking to someone, and a lot of people are speculating that it's Ahsoka. Of course, if you read the Ahsoka novel, she's on Breda and she's doing all this stuff. She hasn't even joined any sort of greater rebellion yet. However, we've already seen them make tweaks to some things, like, part of Season 7 of Clone Wars, I think the beginning of that book. And I'm just curious how heavy you think they are willing to go with any sort of retcons or changes. What do you guys think?
I think they're going to do whatever they want to do to tell a good story. And I truly don't say that with glee. I like the kid and everything. Because, as we've talked about before, when they wiped the slate clean and called Legacy, or, called the EU Legacy, the argument was it's going to lead to a better, more consistent, cohesive universe across the tie-in materials in the series. And I think it comes down to just sheer volume. You can't have that many stories told in such a compressed period of time without leaving yourself room. You got to leave yourself room. And I think what they were trying to do is impossible at the speed that they need tie-in material to come out to pay the bills, I think, really.
Plus, there was a time when they were trying to fill the void with Clone Wars content. The show was no longer in production, but they had stacks of scripts. So they thought, hey, let's whip up a comic book. Let's throw some tidbits into novels here and there. And they did that. They did that with a few different things. Son of Dathomir, Dark Disciple, those are just two examples right off the top of my head, based on old Clone Wars concept script ideas, what have you. And then all of a sudden Clone Wars comes back. And now, it's like, well, we've been releasing all this other material to fill the void. Now the show is back in a way. I mean, we saw Season 7 and now the extension of the Clone Wars via the Bad Batch. And, of course, Ahsoka's story is going to be continued to be told in her own standalone series and everything. So it's like a guy like Dave Filoni sitting around. He has an idea for Ahsoka in the Clone Wars or in her own series. Do you think he's going to be held back because E.K. Johnson wrote a chapter that conflicts with his story? Hell no. That stuff's just going to all be wiped clean.
I mean, I will say they are doing a much better job of it now than they were in the past. Because before, it was an entire book that was just gone. But now we had Timothy Oliphant as Cobb Vanth. That was a throwaway side story in my least favorite canon book. They tweaked the story, but they kept the character and still had him in the arc and stuff like that. So at least for now, it's been small ones, but I agree. They aren't, and they shouldn't. They shouldn't let those completely tie them in. But so far they've been paying them respect. I haven't seen outright outright.
I like that we have callers like you that will let us know, because it's always interesting to me when it happens. And you're right. So far, they've been fairly minor. But back in the before time, I mean, they were pretty significant. You had multiple versions of characters' deaths, for example, and things like that. So, hey, Darth Choco, whatever. Great call. Everybody did such a great job this week, and you always do. Great callers. Good time. Tyler, you picked some beauties. You really did.
They just call in, man. They bless me with that. So
I'll take a little bit of credit for it, Tyler. Excellent calls. Excellent calls. And everyone's super cool to you?
Oh, yeah. Everyone's great.
Of course. We got the best audience.
We really do. Tyler, while we got you on here, did you have any observations that you wanted to toss in about this latest episode?
Nothing too big, but I mean, they went to Braca, and that's where Cal Kestis starts off in Jedi Fallen Order. So I would love to see that happen at some point. Bring Cal in. That's about it.
Bring in Cal. Yeah, I think I might have. I don't know if I confessed this or not in the first episode, but I mistook.
Caleb.
Somebody said on the chat they want to have a video reel, a montage of every time I forget a name, and Jimmy has to remind me. Jimmy Mack, he has the most amazing recall when it comes to like episode titles and character names, and I just don't. I don't even really. I'm not good at remembering people's real names. Everybody is Bud, friend, pal, dude. Yeah, man. For me. Anyway. Yes, I thought that when we saw Caleb Dune that was Cal Kestis, and I have no. I just thought, oh, this is him.
Video game tie-in,
yeah, video game tie-in, but it's a lot cooler to be him. But always cool to have you with us, Tyler. Thanks a lot. Thanks to everybody that tuned in. This was there was a lot of great stuff to talk about. A lot of potential to for future stories. Good times. Bad Batch after show. That's going to do it for us this week. Jimmy Mack, any final thoughts here about Battle Scars?
Well, again, as we reach the midway point of this first season, I think we're going to know there's going to be a noticeable shift in the scope of the storytelling moving forward, the ramifications on the big picture stuff that everyone loves so much, the birth of the Empire. Will we see Darth Vader? Will we see Boba Fett? Will we see Ahsoka? There's a lot of room for characters to drop in. But do they want these big-time characters to take the stage away from the Bad Batch themselves? Remember, this stuff is character-driven, and you might want to just keep a strong focus on the Bad Batch, because it seems like whenever you introduce these legacy characters, the writers suddenly struggle with fitting their original characters in with the legacy characters. But I mean, it's a struggle. It's been noted throughout the modern history of Disney Star Wars that's what happens. Going back to Michael Arndt, who said he couldn't write scenes with Luke Skywalker because he took everyone's attention away from the new characters. I said you should have just wrote a bunch of scenes for Luke Skywalker. Who cares about the new character? That's just me. I'm old school. Okay? But I would love to see Darth Vader. I still think he's going to show up in the second half of season 1. And I really look forward to the return of the Empire, because I just love this transition era from Republic into Empire. And I want to see the galaxy suddenly become enlightened as to what the Empire is and all about, and how it's going to affect them on an individual basis. You know, everyone thinks that the Empire saved the galaxy, ended the war, and brought peace and prosperity to the universe. But they are going to slowly learn that it's not all a bed of roses with these guys. And so, like I said, I want to just see a Star Destroyer land on a town, just wipe everyone out, make a statement.
You want to see more plight and plundering and pillaging and...
Yeah, I want to see mayhem. I want to see a galaxy unravel. That's what I want to see. Bad Batch, a galaxy unraveled. Maybe that'll be season 2. I don't know. But I really do expect things to pick up here in the second half. Stakes will rise. And some of the mystery of Omega is definitely going to be revealed as well, which is something I'm really curious about. There's still mystery surrounding this kid.
Oh, very much.
What's her purpose? What's her deal? Why is she an individual amongst clones? What's up with that?
Some of these theories, they get in your head. There's a lot of people out there saying, "Oh, I think she's a clone of Palpatine. She might be evil or something." And when she was kind of throwing down about them getting those inhibitor chips removed, I thought, "Oh, she doesn't like that. I wonder why she doesn't like that. Why?" And then, of course, it turned out that it was because, she was concerned for their safety and she didn't want to be alone and all of that. But yeah, you crazy kook theorists, you get in my head, even though I know, no, she's not a Palpatine clone. I hear you. And anyway. All
in all, it was a great episode. I really enjoyed it. It was good to see the Wrecker subplot get resolved finally. I don't know how many more episodes we could have gone with him going, my head. And everyone's just like, hey, he gets headaches. What do you want? No, it's the inhibitor chip. And, definitely a reunion with Crosshair is coming. Mm-hmm. It's going to be really interesting. I mean, I look forward to the show every Friday. It's become event television for me. It's fresh Star Wars, and I still think it's really Star Wars done right. And I like seeing that. It's a great extension of the Clone Wars, and next week should prove to be no exception. Baby Rancor not in this episode.
All right, that's it for you for us. Don't forget about Rebel Force Radio on Patreon. If you want more RFR, please make sure that you are subscribed to the YouTube channel and hit the notification bell and give us a thumbs up. I never say, we're podcasters. We're not really YouTubers. So some of this, smash the this and like the that and all of that, it doesn't roll off the tongue like it does some of these others. But we would love to have the thumbs up and certainly the subscription and the notification so that you know when we're going live with shows like Bad Batch After Show. Once again, thanks to Tyler Page. Thank you, Tyler. Appreciate the help, as always. And we will see you all next Saturday, for Bad Batch After Show, looking at Episode 8. That's it. For Rebel Force Radio, I'm Jason.
I'm Jimmy Mack.
And remember,
Force will be with you, always.